Another severe weather outbreak is likely today for over 90 million people, as a large storm system will continue to march east. A dangerous severe weather threat will exist from Texas to New York, with significant damaging winds, large hail, and a few strong tornadoes possible. Then after this, snow chances are increasing for early next week, as one last Arctic blast is likely for much of the United States. We have a dangerous day of weather ahead, so let's get right into the forecast. And we have a lot to talk about in today's forecast, and I want to begin with our severe weather threat for today. And guys, we have another potential for a severe weather outbreak this afternoon, anywhere from the Ohio Valley and the interior Northeast all the way back into the Gulf Coast. Yes, it's not as high of a risk as we had yesterday, where we had a moderate risk of severe weather in Illinois and Indiana, but there is a very large slight risk of severe weather, which goes from New Jersey all the way back to the Gulf Coast, which includes upwards of 80 million people for today. So a lot of people are at risk of severe storms this morning, into the afternoon, and also into the evening hours. Our main concern is going to be damaging winds, and I know many of you might be surprised and might be thinking, how do we have a 30% wind risk over here in the Ohio Valley, but not an enhanced risk of severe weather? That is because the Storm Prediction Center has changed their outlooks. We need a SIG 1, which means an intensity 1, to be in this area for there to be an enhanced risk of severe weather. That could be added in a future outlook, by the way, but at least for right now, scattered to numerous damaging winds around 60 to 70 miles per hour is the main concern in the Ohio Valley, and this will basically impact a lot of areas like Pittsburgh, Columbus, Cincinnati, and then also back over towards Washington, D.C. But further down to the south, we do have an intensity 1 area. This is where we're going to be watching for the possibility of some storms to produce damaging winds exceeding 75 miles per hour. So this is an area that you want to make sure that you're definitely protecting any sort of loose line items and being careful if you're under a severe warning, as trees could definitely fall. Large hail is not really a big concern of mine for today. I think generally speaking, isolated quarter to half-dollar sized hail is going to be the main concern. Yeah, there could be a storm over here in Ohio that produces up to 2-inch sized hail, but not very concerning to me. And then our tornado threat for today is once again elevated, where we could have strong tornadoes late this morning and into the afternoon hours. We have a hatched area for tornadoes over in Ohio, Kentucky, West Virginia, Maryland, Virginia, and Pennsylvania. This is a corridor where there is at least a conditional risk of a couple of strong tornadoes. I think it'll be mostly during the afternoon hours. And then we have another one in Tennessee and also across the deep south, where a few strong tornadoes are possible this afternoon and into the evening hours. It's going to really come down to storm mode today and all the convection that's out there, but if we have enough convection clear out and there's a lot of instability that grows and we see sunshine, we could get some discrete supercells out in front of a long line of thunderstorms. If that happens, there is a risk of a few strong tornadoes. Otherwise, if that doesn't happen, we're just talking about a generic day of a few tornadoes embedded in lines of thunderstorms. So generally speaking, today is not as significant as what we had yesterday, but I think when we compare this to what we just had on Saturday in the same exact areas, this one might be a little bit more intense. Now, similar to what we had yesterday, there is going to be a lot of moisture way off to the north for this time of the year. We're going to have dew points in the low 60s, even in New York today. Again, this is almost historic. We do not see this type of weather during the early portion of March ever in the Northeast. And dew points are well into the 60s today across Pennsylvania, New York. Dew points also in the mid 60s back into the deep south. And this is why there is an actual chance here of a few tornadoes today, and a couple of them could end up being strong.